Good morning and welcome to the Orlando Real Estate Buzz. I'm Brendan Rendo with the Homes in Orlando team, and got Joseph Dion of Aptly Home Loans. Morning, Joe. How you doing?
Morning. What's up, champ?
Oh, kind of like in 24, 48 hours, got hit with a ton of stuff that could make a lot of changes in the housing market.
Just a little bit, I feel.
Yeah, the big one is Bill Pulte came out and went after the big builders.
This one's interesting.
This one's interesting. Yeah. And then here locally, the Florida Senate just passed a bill unanimously concerning ADUs.
Ooh.
So that could be very, very interesting. Then we got, the jobs numbers came out, debt in America coming out. So we have got a lot to cover today. So thank you all and welcome to the Orlando Real Estate Buzz. So Joe, we had Mr. Pulte tweeting. I always love when government people start their tweets, don't you?
Oh, yes. They say so many things. I find it's so fascinating. I love it.
Yeah. So basically, he came out on the 9th and said that mortgage companies like Penny Mac, reason why I chose Penny Mac is they're one of the biggest servicers in the country. They're about $1 trillion or more right now.
Oh, yeah.
They get sold the loans from big home builders. And for the first time, they're going to look at how those loans that are being sold to them. Okay. Reason being, take this out. They're looking at the price structures and how the big builders basically use their volume to take advantage and kind of give themselves a very distinct advantage over the medium-sized regional builders and the smaller builders.
Mm-hmm.
So he basically came out and said, we're changing everything. And on the 10th, he changed it all. Basically, you know this better than I do. There's things called loan level price adjustments.
Correct.
And what they did is they took all these price adjustments and are looking at how they're done and are going to change them up so that it's going to cost the builders more to buy down rates.
Mm-hmm.
Which I found that interesting because right now, what's really kind of saving the housing market right now in volume is all these incentives that we're getting from builders.
Mm-hmm.
I get them, 20 times a week. I get emails, Lennar, DR Horton, Taylor Morrison, Stanley Martin. And what they're doing is they're offering these huge incentives to buy down the cost of home ownership.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting because when you look at things is right now the median price of a single family home from a new construction is about $450, where the existing is sitting about $407. But when you're buying down those rates to say 5%, 4.5%, and locking in your 30-year, guess what happens? That 450,000 brand new house actually can become less expensive than that existing home at 407,000.
Yeah. They're literally utilizing that piece to make the new build more affordable than the existing with what essentially is smoke and mirrors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because they're buying the race down, and they're putting it in the purchase price. Essentially, is all they're doing.
Yeah, it's exactly what they're doing, and what you're not seeing, you're seeing a little bit more now, but what you really haven't seen are the huge price decreases from the builders that a lot of people were hoping for. Excuse me. Because when you look at this chart, this is median price per square foot. And you can see existing homes, they had gotten up to $226 a square foot, where the builders had kind of stayed steady or between that $218 a square foot and $220 a square foot. But as the market really softened up at the end of 2025, you can see the dive on the existing homes price per square foot. They've basically lost about $10 a square foot. That's a huge price decrease.
Yeah.
But the builders, they've stayed steady. And how have they been able to stay steady? They've been able to stay steady by offering the incentives. So they're not adjusting that $450,000 price. They're just throwing more incentives at it. And when you take out the incentives, maybe the real actual sales price of that house is $400,000. Because I think it was Pulte Homes that actually said it. On average, last year was costing them $54,000 in incentives to sell a house. So it's very interesting to look at it. And I'm looking at this going, okay, Bill, you're doing this, which may actually force the builders' prices to go down. But didn't Trump just say, and we showed the video last week, that he doesn't want existing homeowners to lose value in their houses?
Yeah.
Contradiction.
It definitely is. It's interesting. I mean, now, from an appraisal standpoint, typically new builders look differently than existing, right? Like, so these changes would drive down potentially new build. And I'm just asking, what would you see? Like, if a new build, let's say a new build community across the street from an existing home community, if all of a sudden that new build, say, started selling 30,000, first off, the people that already bought in that new community are screwed.
Oh yeah.
But let's say it dropped in value. It took a 5% haircut. So average home price $450. Now it lost 5%, which would be what, $20,000?
Yeah.
On value, roughly. What does that do to the neighborhood across the street that is maybe 20 years old? Does that drive their prices down too?
It will drive their prices down.
Will they see it at a same standard?
Yeah, because the appraiser has to do an adjustment for age of the home.
Yeah.
So exactly, you can see all these prices drop. But I'll give you an example. Is I've got a rental listing that we're going to be putting on next week. Brand new Stanley Martin development in DeBerry. She bought it for $401. Well, one of my investors, because he bought it with cash with all the incentives, bought the same house, same floor plan for $339.
Holy cow.
I mean, she lost $60,000 in value in roughly about 6 months.
Wow.
So she really can't sell. She's going to take too big a hit. So we're going to rent it out for a couple of years. Hopefully the market will come back. So you're looking at this and you're just like, man, it's a double-edged sword. But the thing with the appraisals is they don't, say I did a contract and I did a 3% concession on the contract. The appraiser has to put that concession on the appraisal.
Yep.
And if any of the others in the community did it, they do that as well. So you adjust the overall value down appropriately.
Yep.
They don't do that with new construction. None of those incentives are put in the appraisal right now.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand.
So when you say like incentives, we're like, if a new build appraiser, like, because there are like, oh, we're going to give you 3% to your closing costs. Is that factored? And you're saying that the 25,000 toward upgrades, that's not factored.
That's not put in there. So
because it's upgrades, right? Like,
yeah, and it's kind of interesting, I mean, then you look at like the price reductions that are going on. Again, you see it here with the new construction homes. That the new construction for the first time in that's almost 2.5 years actually had more price decreases than existing homes.
Yeah.
So you see how the market, how the home builders have because of the way they're allowed to do all these incentives, and by owning the mortgage companies,
Yeah.
they can do things that other people can't do.
Yeah.
And that to me is extremely, it is an unfair advantage in a lot of ways, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
It truly is. And how do you break that up is the question.
I mean, it's really tough, and the argument has always been like it's a benefit for the consumer, right? Like I feel like that's the builder's argument is like, oh, well, we're giving these low rates and we're doing this. Like if you utilize us, you're not required to, but if you utilize our mortgage company, we're going to give you these incentives.
Yeah.
We're not required to give you these incentives, but like it helps you. Like, but exactly what you're saying is when these big builders own the mortgage company, they're basically washing, like they're like, hey, we'll take let's say a 30 million loss on our mortgage company because that sustained a 100 million gain on our building division.
Yeah.
Like that's what
what's Zillow and Redfin getting sued for right now?
Referral fees, right?
Steering.
Yep.
Steering. Isn't it the same thing?
Yeah. And that's the interesting piece of it, right? Is like, it's the same thing, but is it not? Like the Zillow is steering and it's the real estate agent, it's the commit, like they're kind of circumventing this because the builder's like, well, we don't have quote unquote real estate, we have sales associates, right?
Yeah.
That it's treated a little bit different. They represent our
licensed.
company.
Yeah.
Like they don't represent outside, like, individual homes. They're just our company. They're only selling our product.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fallen like, and this is something I always joke, like on our side, like I hear from an advocacy side, I'm part of the, a board member for a Broker Action Coalition. Like we do this and you hear so many people like, oh, let's go after the bill. Let's do that. Like, I don't like these are different organizations and there's, builders have an advocacy. Like if you're ever curious who has the most money, like go look at the buildings like that builders have in DC versus mortgage companies versus real estate companies versus, like, you're going to see who puts a lot of money in lobbying. And we know like the more money, like, like let's look at big tobacco and everything. They spent millions and millions and millions, and it's well documented in films and everything of how much money they spent lobbying to do what they do, right? Like the same thing happens on our side. And right now, some of these associations have spent a lot of money and effort, and what homes help drive the economy as a home. We say this, right? And builders have always leaned into that. Like, hey, look at all the jobs, the stability, the growth. Like we're creating all of that.
Yeah.
So
it was
make sure the rules help us.
Yeah. It's kind of nuts. I kind of think of it like UPS and FedEx. They both do the similar thing, but UPS is actually a trucking company. And I forget how FedEx is classified. They're two totally different things, so they fall under two totally different rules. Yeah. But they do the same thing. So it's kind of like, And then when you look at it, and these are some things I found interesting this week, and kind of goes with it is, what are the home buyers' expectations out there right now as far as interest rates? And this kind of just dropped me to the floor. It's like, okay, if you bought a home today, what mortgage rate would you expect to receive? And look at this. 25% expect to receive an interest rate under 4%.
What? Like,
did you just quote one, Joe?
Yeah. Okay. Great. 1 out of 4.
How many points?
I mean, it's there, I guess. Like 1 out of 4 people are still living in La La Land. Gotcha.
But then you still got another 18 between 4 and 4.99. Okay. I can live with the guys between the 5 and the 5.99. They're hoping
that's close enough, because it's like you can buy points. We're right there. Like it's. I think it's good. Like as a consumer, if someone's like, "Hey, can I get 5s?" Like they're reasonable. Now, if they're like, "Can I get a 5.125?" All right, it depends on the loan product. A lot of government, your FHA, VA, those are in the 5s right now. Conventional still kind of teetering right at that next threshold.
Yeah. Then we got the realists, out there between the 6 and the 6.99, which we've been pretty stable at. Then we got the pessimists who are like, oh, I think it's going to be 7 to 8 or 8 or higher. And those may be people with not so good at credit,
And people only buying investment properties, maybe. I don't know. Like,
yeah, that could be true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then here's their dream rates. And there you are. 44% are 4.99 or below. So maybe this is why no one's buying houses, because our expectations have just gotten way out of whack.
And you share that, right? And like, what we've seen so much positive news on rates.
Mhm.
Like, if you look at mainstream media, like there's a lot of positive news of like rates are going down. We're doing this. We're going to see this. Like, you hear all this conversation, and in the industry, like Brendan, you and I, like, we're in the industry, we see this and we're like, all right, they're like an eighth lower than they were last week, and maybe a quarter lower than where they were in December. But a consumer who doesn't follow it, isn't in a part of it, only makes a decision once they look at what they saw before. When the last time there was talk of rates going down, it was like they were at 6, then they were at 5.5, then they were at 5, then they were at 4.5, all within like 2 months.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So
it's so different in perspective. I, being before you were born, living in the 80s.
I was born.
Yeah. Remembering the 16 and 18% interest rates. So, I mean, when they dropped to 7 and 8, it was like, wow, take advantage of it. Holy cow. Look at all this house I can afford all of a sudden, and now we got all these millennials, and Gen Z, whatever they are, who are like, well, rates were at 2.5%, 3%. These are astronomical.
Yeah.
And it all blends into, this chart, which is, why are home buyers holding back? Why are they holding back? And 69% because current mortgage rates decrease their overall confidence in the housing market.
Yeah.
It's like, but they're still good. The rates are still good. Come on, guys. Higher mortgage rates have caused them stress. Trigger. Mortgage rates matter. This one I found interesting. Mortgage rates matter more than the home prices in their buying decision.
I think this is a fundamental educational piece. I love it. Because I do think like we've taken the narrative and I know it sounds silly, but in sales, people are really good at shifting from one thing to the next. Home values are great. It's great that houses cost more, which, like, yes, there's some good point, but I think that's that fundamental shift that a lot of real estate agents, because, are able to push that is like, oh, well, the home's not affordable. It's because of mortgage rates, not because the value is where it's at. Well, it's really a combination of the two. Inherently, home prices going up is great, but mortgage, it's the one variable that can't really be controlled on a buy sell. Like I want this, you're selling it. What do we want to agree on? Right? Like the interest rate's kind of like it lives on its own. Like you can't impact it as much as you'd want to.
Correct. Yep. And that, I think you're totally right in the way that people present it. It's mortgage rates why nobody can buy a home. It's mortgage rates. And that's all you hear is mortgage rates are, Trump, mortgage rates are too high. Mortgage rates are too high, But, again, you go back to historics and history says, no, they're actually fairly well. Our housing inflation was too high. You don't hear anyone saying that, housing going up, 50 to 100% in value in 3 years, Yeah. Guess what? That caused problems, and it's locked a lot of people in to that they don't want to sell their houses.
I mean, you're sitting on the worth, you have the value, you have the, like, it's like, and on paper, it made people feel like, hey, like there's like, I've achieved something greater. But it is, I always joke, I was like, if you sell and buy in the same market, you didn't, like, it's lateral.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Yep.
Now you can sell the property, you can downsize, there's certain things, but it's like your money is worth the same at the same time.
Yep.
Right. Your home is worth, like if you're buying in an elevated market, the houses that you're buying is going to be worth more than or cost more. And just like when you're selling at that elevated market, like to really build the system, you have to be able to be like, okay, I buy and I don't have to sell yet, but I bought a new property. And as market values go up, I'll sell higher. Now you're getting ahead into things. But there's that compounding piece. If I take more, I went from 3.5% down. I now have 40% equity in my home. I sell, I take that money. Now I'm able to go to a conventional loan with no mortgage insurance, stuff like that. But I look at this right now and I go, it's a really tough pace where we are because income hasn't increased, like, at the level that probably needed. And I'm not talking about year over year income increase. I'm talking about from the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s to now, right?
Yep.
At the rate that you've seen home values increase. There's bigger pieces at play that we can't control. And then we got to fit into the economies of where we are.
Yeah.
Would interest rates being lower help? Absolutely. We would love to see it. Both of us would love to see it, right?
Yep.
We think that they should go a little bit lower. I don't think we should go back to a 2 and a 3%. I think that would actually be bad long term. It would be great. And that's the problem, is sometimes short-sightedness. Oh, I got this great deal, but what actually happened in the bigger scale?
Yeah, exactly. So it just very, very interesting numbers. So kind of switching directions and getting into something that I think could be extremely interesting here over the next several years.
Are we switching directions? We're talking about affordability.
Well, we are. Well, yeah, that's true. So I know this is one that hits home for you. Dealing with Seminole County in Winter Springs. The Florida Senate approved a bill to expand backyard housing.
Okay,
basically, what they call them, granny suites, or
ADUs,
something like that. ADUs.
Yeah. Granny. I like granny suites though. That sounds more fun.
Yeah.
I think that is but that's an interesting one. It is, and you mentioned Seminole County. I think you were telling me that Orange County already allows this.
Yep.
But like in Seminole County, I was looking at adding an ADU to the back of my property. Like, as my parents get a little bit older, they might want to downsize. They're talking about buying a retirement home in Tennessee or somewhere else. But they still want to be close to us and their grandbabies, really not to me, just the grandbabies. Right. So I was like, maybe we get an ADU, like we build an ADU, and it creates that ability for housing. And I just felt like I got ran. Ultimately, I didn't do anything because they were like, well, we're probably not going to approve it. And I live on, almost 4 4/10 or 2/5 of an acre. So I've got a larger lot. And they're like, oh yeah, well, you're already exceeding the variances and this and that because you have a circle driveway. And I was like, what? Like, what are we talking about here? And they're like, well, you can submit it, but most likely, and then we can do a vote. I was like, so you want me to spend like $5,000 to $10,000 to draw up all these plans, to do all this, to submit it to you, and you're saying that most likely you're going to reject it, but you won't give me an answer until I submit it. So I was like, I'm just going to not do anything.
Forget it. Yeah, they just made it. Yeah, the main points of it are that the local governments must permit ADUs wherever single-family homes are allowed. Okay. The approval process is streamlined. There's no public hearings, no need for variances or special exemptions needed. So you've just hit a couple things that you ran into. Boom, they're gone, right? Homeowners can rent them out, can rent the units out, and the municipalities cannot restrict the rentals, except that you can't rent it. You can't rent it for like a single month, like a short-term rental.
So no, like they can have like Airbnb restrictions type thing.
Right.
And I say Airbnb, but like that's the model, right? Like that short-term rental. They want, hey, rent it out long-term. Like, hey, like a municipality can be like, hey, no short-term, we allow long-term.
Exactly.
And then, I saw, was there a parking piece to this? I saw that was very interesting that they added that, because I felt like that was a loophole that a lot of municipalities would try to use.
Yes, homeowners, they cannot change the parking restrictions either. Plus, the homeowner retains his homestead exemption.
That's a big one.
That's a big one. That's a big one. So they kind of hit like a lot of the points that you brought up, the things that you ran into, that were restricting you. So you may want to go call your senator or your representative for the state.
It definitely gives me a piece to be like, hey, I'd love to see this. It passed unanimously in the Senate. So it's still got work to do. It's not approved. It's not signed into law, all that stuff. Yeah.
Not law yet, but
it still has to go on the other side of the government side to get a similar. I don't know if there's a companion bill already in place and so forth. I'm sure maybe there is with the House, and we just haven't had voting. But this is really big because it touches, and I said like it kind of touches on affordability because it's saying, hey, like I immediately go into, well, it's so expensive right now to buy something new. If I have the land and I can just build, I can get what I need without having to leave my existing footprint and try to buy and sell in this marketplace. And frankly, like I look at where I feel stuck. Like to get an upgrade from where I'm at, I'm like, holy cow, like that's going to cost way more than I think it should.
And I think, and that's really the big move that we've seen recently is more people they're it's right sizing of your home, finding the right size, where you're seeing people adjust what they're looking for in a home, smaller yards, smaller footprints. And because of costs, it's making a lot of people reevaluate where they're going to live. But I boy, you could see this popping all over the place. Like we said, Orange County has a program called Ready Set Orange, where they have actual pre-designed ADU units. And as long as you use one of their pre-approved ADU designs, it's fast tracked for you. Boom.
So when you say fast track, approvals, permitting, they already have everything. They've already approved the project. So I'm imagining you just need surveys.
Right.
Kind of.
Yep. I imagine you've got to be able to hook up into the sewer system if it's on sewer. And you've got to figure out the adjustments if it's on septic, the adjustments for septic. But otherwise, I mean, you're moving along. The one that they did that this happened to do the story on was a 500 square foot unit that a lady was building in her backyard, I think in the Pine Hills area, and she was building it for a good friend of her who couldn't afford to buy a house. So she built it and she's renting it to her.
Yeah.
I mean, great. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. And I mean, when you talk about the numbers, I mean, these numbers came out at 10 o'clock today, where the January home sales, I mean, took a huge decrease, coming back to affordability. We were down 8.4% in January on our home sales.
Affordability. I'm going to go with weather was crazy.
Oh yeah. That was it. The weather was crazy.
I mean, I'm not buying a house if there's a freezing, the land is frozen around me. I don't even want to drive.
I'm not going out if it's below 50 anymore. I'm sorry, I'm old.
I got this Florida blood.
Yep. My blood has thinned out. So, but we just, going through all the numbers and we're looking at everything. We get into our Orlando numbers, and kind of backs up what we see from the last headline is sales are down.
All right, can't really blame the weather on this one. This is Florida.
This is exactly.
Central Florida.
The first week of February only saw 300 homes, closed, and inventory again back up a little bit. So we're starting to see that inventory increase a little bit. Condos, there's that magic 100 number again. Then moving into to an actual breakdown, we're back up over 6 months worth of inventory in houses. And we are just holding steady at that 92 to 93% original list of sales price. Just very steady. So to me, this just means there's a lot of opportunities still out there. And we're supposed, usually we start hitting the spring market like mid-March, that time frame. So it'll be interesting to see how numbers go up, because I know looking at the betting markets right now, no one's betting on the Fed cutting any rates, in the mid-March meeting right now.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to see anything until the new chairman comes in. I think they're going to try and hold things kind of steady.
Yeah, I think so.
Until we get the new person. I just see that. Days on market are staying up there, 76 days on market. And then graphically you look at it, I mean, we are, to sit below that 350 line basically on average since December. That's rough to see. That's rough to watch overall. Of course, inventory, just graphically, inventory is going back up, fairly consistent on our days on market. And then one thing we are starting to see is the number of withdrawals, canceled listings. They're popping back up again. I think a lot of these are people just, you're seeing a lot of 180, 200 days. I ran the numbers again last week of 90-day plus homes, and we're still sitting at roughly 40 to 42% of homes have been on the market for over 90 days.
Yeah.
That's a lot of homes. Then in our condo market, here we are, months of inventory sitting at 9.5. We actually dropped to 89% original to list price. Man, people 89%. Want to get rid of these. And look at this, under 250K, 83.78%. Over 1 million.
I can see the over 1 million being, but the under 2, that's the affordable
ones.
That should be, I think that's probably, and we see this a lot, is like a lot of these condos that are in that price point, they're the ones that had their HOA, the condo dues skyrocket.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think we've seen it go up across the board, but I feel like every time I see a condo on my side, I'm almost like, if it's under 250, I'm like, those condo dues are crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you're seeing anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a month on HOA dues,
which destroys the affordability immediately. And it reduces the, I think, the perception of this community is strong.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. And I would love to see someone break down what those fees actually go to, because we basically saw 30, 40, 50% increases in, multiple years in a row.
Yeah.
Did the insurance actually go up that much, or
I mean,
what else is in there?
I think it's a tough one, because I think a lot of it was like they had to do those engineer, those additional builders, and then it's like you had to get up to code after you do those reports. Like, so they got to build the funds. But the challenge in this is, I don't think you're going to see them go back down. Like,
no, I don't either. And I'm like, it's a new norm. It's just a new norm, and it's kind of like interest rates. I think we're back into where we're going to see the normal interest rates stay for a while.
Yep.
So people just, people are going to have to make decisions. Do you want to spend $500 a month on an HOA fee, or do you want to put that towards maybe a townhome or a home?
Yeah.
And it's going to make, I mean, you see the numbers, it's just going to make selling condos harder and harder. I mean, you went through where one association didn't want to do loans anymore, didn't want to have to do the questionnaires anymore. I actually spoke to a lady last evening who wants to buy a condo FHA. And I just went, ugh. Said, I don't know if we can do it.
There's like 6 in Central Florida that are approved. You can do spot approvals, but there's still a lot of pieces that go into it. Like, I've gotten spot approvals done, but there's still a lot of variables.
Well, guess what you and I are working on after this. I had to figure out a way to hit you with it.
All right, whatever.
Anyways, but hey, just to let everyone know that someone found the Redfin house.
Ah.
So, and these were the clues. One was the area code. One was the size, and they gave like the bike rating as well, which I thought was interesting. And I believe it's in Denver is where the house is at.
Yep.
So just in case anyone knows, anyone was wondering, did anyone find the house? Yep, they sure did. So wasn't Joe and I.
That's a cute little house. I like the backdrop.
Yeah. So anyways, thank you all for joining us as usual. Look forward to seeing you again next week. Please like, subscribe, and join us for the Orlando Real Estate Buzz. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.